Hello, everyone, and welcome to the May 2026 community call. Really excited to host this again alongside Bob co founder Alexei, who's going to be taking us through all of the updates, integrations, all of the community stuff from the month of April into May, basically the last 4 weeks. There's going to be a lot of alpha that we're going to be talking about in this specific call. So make sure you retweet this link, make sure you like it, make sure you share it with your friends. And as always, this is going to be recorded and broadcasted on X. So in case you miss it, in case your friends miss it, you can always come back and check out all the alpha and all of the updates that Bob has been making towards the Bank of Bitcoin. So with that being said, as always, we have a very exciting slide, a very exciting deck that Alexei is going to be taking all of us through. So yeah, take it away, Alexei.
Hey, welcome everyone to the monthly community call. We'll run through some updates that we've been shipping between April and May. So first of all, as a reminder, by Bob, we're building the Bank of Bitcoin. Our mission is to allow you to use BTC in more ways than you can do today without trusting a centralized provider, without trusting a centralized exchange. And we firmly believe that banking on Bitcoin rails is the future of neobanking. For us, this means three different things, the three core pillars of Bob, essentially, as we see it. Trading, and basically moving BTC trading on chain off centralized exchanges. There's $800 billion of monthly volume on centralized exchanges and only 300 to 400 million of on-chain trading. And we have set out to fix that. We firmly believe that people should trade from their wallet in a non-custodial manner and not have to deposit to a Binance or a Coinbase, and actually, in some cases, get worse rates there than you can get in DeFi and on-chain. The second pillar is lending and improving the lending experience, letting you borrow against your Bitcoin as it is on BTC without getting exposed to risk, and finding a better way to allow you to use your Bitcoin as collateral, buy more BTC, but then stay liquid and be able to borrow against it. And ultimately package this in a frictionless consumer app so you can essentially, for example, take out a microloan against your BTC. You can easily buy, sell DCA into Bitcoin and other assets in a user-friendly way that does not require you to manage 5 different wallets across 5 different chains. So monthly highlights. We have some non-product things first. Bob governance is now live. We've had the first Bob acceleration proposal, BAP, go live. This proposal establishes the governance charter for the Bob DAO. It basically specifies what the Bob DAO stands for, what the mission is. It's been debated within the community and has now, or is actually currently up for vote to be ratified. This is the very first step to then start actively putting forward proposals to governance, to treasury, and essentially help direct and navigate where Bob is going. You can participate by voting. You can also delegate to yourself, essentially, and then vote directly, or you can delegate to a few of the delegates on the platform, and you can check it out under gov.gobob.xyz/DAO. Another update, more on product side, DZap integrates Bob Gateway. So this is one of the first bigger aggregators that has integrated Bob Gateway for Bitcoin swaps. And now Bob is a preferred partner route on DZap. So if you're trading Bitcoin through DZap, that specializes in essentially zapping different assets across different chains, helping you with portfolio and DeFi position rebalancing, Bob is serving Bitcoin routes in the background, which is the first step in essentially getting Bob Gateway, positioning it as the go-to place, the backend for BTC trading in DeFi. And then some alpha alerts. Actually wanted to announce this live today, but we've had some delays on testing due to Ethereum gas spikes. So this will be going live next week. Alpha alert 1, we've significantly improved the routing engine. Previously, Bob Gateway was the best route for Bitcoin into wrap BTC, and we've seen some bigger whales and power users start using it to rebalance their DeFi positions, going to Ethereum, into Aave, into yield basis, and so on. With this new update, Bob Gateway will be the cheapest and the most cost-efficient way to swap Bitcoin into stablecoins and essentially any asset on Ethereum, Arbitrum, Base, BNB chain, and we'll be soon then adding other chains like Tron, Solana, and so on. This is a really big step. We've been working towards this for quite a while. And with this, once this goes live next week, Bob will be the best Bitcoin swaps engine on the market in terms of execution. This is a really, really big thing for us. And the alpha alert number 2 is Bitcoin to gold trading. As you know, Bitcoin's positioning as digital gold, we felt, and our partners felt that way, that it would be a good opportunity to allow native BTC to tokenize gold trading. Tokenized gold has been getting a lot of traction over the last couple of months. Today's market cap is around $5.6 billion across Tether Gold and Pax Gold. And it's grown by $3.6 billion within the last year. So that's a really fast growing market. And what we see is that there's interest to trade native Bitcoin against gold. So not just, use it to go not only buying gold with stablecoins, but actually being able to rebalance your position from BTC into gold and vice versa, but also to build DCA positions where you can continuously DCA and invest into a portfolio of gold, Bitcoin, and perhaps also other RWA assets or other crypto assets. And this will now be possible on Bob Gateway. So listing gold is a first step, and essentially an upcoming asset listing spree that will be going on to add more assets and trading pairs to Bob Gateway. Gold is a bit special for us just because we feel it's a very nice fit to pair BTC with tokenized gold, and especially given the fast rising tokenized gold market that we're seeing right now. So TLDR, this will go live next week with both XAUT supported and PaxG support. XAUT is the bigger one, but primarily held by institutions on chain today. PaxG has quite broad holder base of retail users already. So 2 very interesting ways to get access to tokenized gold and buy this directly with BTC without going to a centralized exchange. And then another bigger product update that's more from the research lab. This went live or was published actually end of March, but it was after the last community call. So we're kind of touching upon this today. On our mission to enable native BTC lending, we've essentially developed a new protocol that fixes a lot of the big problems of native BTC lending in DeFi. Some context before going into details here. You can borrow against your Bitcoin today on Aave, on Morpho, but you have to wrap it first into Wrap BTC, CBTC, LBTC, and others. Now, in some countries, this is a taxable event. For others, well, you have commingling of funds, and that's what a lot of people also don't like. You obviously have continuous risk exposure to a single custodian. Not ideal. Works very well, to be fair, and there's billions of dollars in DeFi wrapped of Wrap BTC, but it's still only a small fraction of the market. And after many conversations with institutions and BTC holders, the feedback was, well, if there is a way to do this without wrapping BTC, without having to deal with a wrapper, but still tapping into DeFi rates, that would be a very cool solution. And that's essentially what we have come up with atomic liquidations for native Bitcoin vaults. So there's 2 parts to this. Native Bitcoin vaults essentially means that BTC stays on Bitcoin in a vault, and you can borrow against it on Aave and Morpho. Now, to oversimplify, what you get is a deposit address. You deposit Bitcoin into that. It's a special multi-sig kind of setup where you get a withdrawal transaction that you can publish and take out your funds anytime you like. So you have unilateral exit capabilities, but also a set of operators that act as liquidators in case you default on your loan or you get liquidated on Aave or Morpho. Their job is to come in and enforce a liquidation on Bitcoin. Now, the reason why we have these operators, or liquidators that you could call them, or they're probably closer to Lightning watchtowers for those familiar with Lightning. The reason we need them is that Aave and Morpho and other DeFi lending markets, they don't want to deal with native Bitcoin. They don't have capabilities on DeFi and Ethereum and other L2s to deal with native BTC unless you wrap it. Now, the cool trick that we have come up with here is to allow Aave to accept native Bitcoin as collateral, where BTC stays on Bitcoin. You as a user, you never deal with a wrapper. It's not a fungible wrap token, so you don't need to worry about DEX liquidity as well. And you can borrow stablecoins on these markets. Now, the way this works is, as mentioned, you put your Bitcoin into a native Bitcoin vault. Now, once you've done that, your position is visible and can be verified on chain, but you don't get the wrap token. It's like a fully fungible asset. And the reason we don't do this is so that your assets don't get commingled. In native Bitcoin vaults, when you deposit Bitcoin to borrow stables, and once you've repaid your loan, you get back exactly the same Bitcoin. So it's not someone else's potentially tainted funds, but it's exactly the funds that you initially deposited. And the fact that you don't deal with a wrapper also means that in countries like the US or Canada, and again, by no means am I a tax expert, but it should not, or it at least should be less easy to qualify as a taxable event, because you actually don't deal with a wrapper. You're not exchanging Bitcoin for something else. In this case, you're just putting in native BTC and you're getting stablecoins out as a loan, but you're not exchanging Bitcoin for wrap BTC first, which is, again, a big advantage on the taxable side. In theory, of course, please do your own research and talk to your tax advisor. We're getting in opinions, but this is obviously not taxable, not tax advice. So once you've done that, right, and you want to borrow stablecoins on Aave, the only blocker for this to be possible is that Aave has to actually accept this BTC as collateral. And one of the core conditions for Aave, but also more for Fluid, Spark, and other lending markets, is that they can successfully liquidate the position if you default on your loan. Now, the way liquidations work on Aave, for example, is that you have liquidators that will take out something called a flash loan. So they will borrow stablecoins on another market and perform the liquidation in the same transaction, take the liquidation profits because they repay the loan on your behalf, they get your collateral, they will sell it at a profit, and then they repay the stablecoins they borrowed elsewhere. And the cool thing is on Ethereum, if you do this in a single transaction, they don't need to have the capital to liquidate you. So if you borrow $100,000 of USDC, I can liquidate you and ensure that there's no bad debt in the protocol without actually having $100,000 of USDC. And the way this works is I will flash borrow, for example, from Aave itself or from Morpho, repay your loan, get your collateral, for example, in BTC, sell the Bitcoin, and usually there's a profit for me because I'm liquidating you, I'm providing a service. And then I repay my own loan and I keep the profit. And this is done in a single Ethereum transaction, which means it's atomic. So either this succeeds or it fails, but there is no additional bad debt. Now, this is cool because it's very capital efficient, and this means that Aave, Morph, and others can operate very effectively without requiring large market makers to constantly have capital on the side to perform liquidations. Now, this does not work with Bitcoin, or did not work so far. And what we've come up with is a solution to this problem. With our new atomic liquidation mechanism, we use something called an on-chain market maker that performs these atomic liquidations using flash loans and allows you to borrow on Aave against your Bitcoin with stablecoins without having to wrap it, and Aave can securely accept native BTC as collateral. There's a lot of context here because it's actually a quite technical problem to a very general issue that prevents you from essentially borrowing stables on Aave with native Bitcoin. So TLDR, we've come up with a new protocol that solves a lot of the issues that we've had with native BTC lending before and bridges the gap between native Bitcoin and DeFi on Ethereum and other networks. So once this goes live in the future, you'll be able to tap into the best in the market rates and transparent rates, most importantly, on Aave Morpho with your native Bitcoin without having to deal with BTC wrappers, without having to deal with wrapping yourself, without having to be an expert in DeFi, and where you can be sure that your BTC can be withdrawn. And yeah, this is a much more powerful model than actually using wrappers or using things like DLCs, which are not really compatible with DeFi today. Because otherwise you have two choices in today's market. Either you go with wrappers and you tap into good rates and liquidity, but you have to deal with the wrappers, with the taxes and so on, or you try things like DLCs and other solutions that have never really taken scale, but you're very much limited of what you can do in terms of liquidity. And what we've done here, we have bridged this gap. So this is a really big step in the right direction. We're very excited for it. And we're currently working with bigger lending markets to get input, feedback, customize this further, and to gradually then roll this out. Now, enough of technical stuff. We also have some cool community updates that deserve attention. We have been hosting community spaces, or specifically community members have been holding community spaces. In this case, specifically in Nigeria, in the Nigerian community, which is really, really cool. And we want to push this effort more to allow local communities to host their own meetups and get more people on board of the Bank of Bitcoin vision, help educate people about BTC and what you can do with it without essentially trusting centralized providers. There's also currently a Galaxy Quest live for Bob Gateway swaps. Galaxy is celebrating 5 years, and Bob, as a long-term partner, has joined their campaign. So you can go now and actually trade on Bob Gateway and have a chance to win some rewards on Galaxy. So definitely check it out. And last but not least, our team was present at events at both BTC Vegas and also at Consensus Miami. And at Consensus Miami, we joined MetaMask as a builder partner, representing essentially BTC at MetaMask's event at Consensus. So essentially talked to a lot of cool builders there, got a lot of feedback of what needs to happen to make BTC more accessible to DeFi builders on Ethereum and other networks. And yeah, we'll continue doing more events like this to help improve the builder experience on Bob. And then I want to take some time to give a special shout out to Korniak. Korniak is one of our very early community members who has been with Bob almost, I think, from the very, very beginning, a very active advocate for Bitcoin DeFi and Bob itself. And not only is Korniak one of the biggest delegates and most active delegates in Bob governance, he also posted the first BAP to ratify the Bob DAO agenda, but also he has been building out a product on top of Bob Gateway, something that I personally find very exciting, specifically plugging in agents to programmatically perform trades and look for yield opportunities on different chains, starting from Bitcoin and then routing through Bob Gateway, which is something really, really cool and shows how powerful Bob Gateway is and how easy it is to integrate with AI agents. And we'll continue our work in making Bob Gateway the default way for agents to actually buy and sell Bitcoin in the market. We've already done a lot of work on optimizations for agents, and there's a few integrations that we've been working on our side to make this available across some of the bigger agent kits, including base agent kit and so on. So thank you so much for actually being a cool community member and building stuff on top. And hopefully we can see more from other community members as well. This is really, really exciting. Something else to be aware of, we have brought back the Bob Show. Bullish on Bitcoin is a series of Twitter spaces that we started last year to help educate the community about Bitcoin DeFi, what's going on in the Bitcoin L2 space. And we've had some very big guests on board last year with Dan Held, Nick Carter, and a few others. We have restarted the show and we have a stacked list of guests this year, which just shows Bitcoin DeFi is as hot as it ever was. It's in the builder phase right now. There's so many cool things coming out. And almost every company has a Bitcoin strategy. So we started with DeFi Dad to talk about the state of Bitcoin DeFi. We had Dan Held on this week talking about hot topics with OG Dan Held, who has seen essentially all the cycles that you can imagine in the Bitcoin space. Next up, we have Philip Zentner, founder of LiFi, one of the leading cross-chain DeFi aggregator and tooling protocols in the space. And then we'll have Parker Matthews, DeFi lead at Layer Zero, come on as well the week after next. So definitely tune in. We have other guests coming from Chainlink, 1inch, MetaMask, XAUT, and others all lined up. So we'll keep doing these shows. Yeah, I think there's so many things you can do with Bitcoin and so many things that people aren't aware of. Very excited about having so many big names on the show going forward. So yeah, that's it from us this time. Stay tuned for the next community call. It's always the first Friday of the month. Next time in June, we'll have a lot more to share with the upgrade going live and some more integrations on track for later this month. And always post questions in the Discord, and we'll do our best to address them in the call. And with that, thank you so much, and see you next time.